It's easy. Auto Trader.
It's time for game night, getting you ready for Sacramento Kings basketball.
He's got the bucket!
Game night is presented by Power Business Technology, your locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or visit them at powercopiers.com. Here's your host, Scott Marsh, alongside the high flyer, Henry Turner.
And a very pleasant good evening to you. Welcome into game night right here on Sports 11 KHTK. Scott Marsh along with the high flyer, Henry Turner, as we'll try to get these headsets fixed. They're not quite functioning clearly here.
Yeah, because mine was hot.
High flyer, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. You ready for All-Star break there, bro?
I'm ready with these headsets.
Man.
These headsets aren't quite working at full capacity right here, but we'll get it right.
Hey, we got one more
set up right.
We got one more game of business to take care of, then we get a chance to take a little break there, my man.
I love it. I love it. But we're going in on a great note, obviously. What a game on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. You know, I've always said, once again, it's 500 for me. You know, and they took care of business on the road, right? Took care of business 4-3 on the road. Came back and had the gruesome two-step right there in Dallas, and you know, got clunked over the head in the first one, but bounced back in the second one. So 50% right now. We're doing good, and now we're in Phoenix.
All right, JJ's our man. He got that fixed. We're all good. We got Kyle back there as well. We're on the YouTube as well, so you can join the chat room for the next hour or so. And, of course, we'll take you until 5:30 this afternoon. Kings versus the Suns. A little bit to talk about in Phoenix these days, too.
Oh, yeah. If it's one team that has gotten substantially better, it would be the Phoenix Suns.
I would agree with that, although we're not going to see Kevin Durant tonight or before the All-Star break.
No, and that's great for the Kings. But what I'm saying is, if it's one team, through all of that happened before the trade deadline, tons of guys moved.
Yep.
Tons of acquisitions, letting guys go, cuts, buyouts, all of that. And you would have to say the Phoenix Suns won the lottery.
It would be hard to argue that. I mean, they are definitely the team to beat, I would say, at this point. We're getting into that and a lot more. Of course, High Flyer, it's your first opportunity, ours together, to talk about the trades and what you think about the West and the fact the Kings didn't make a move and how you feel about that. But first, we've got to go back to last weekend, because obviously what a weekend it was, especially on Saturday night. Another special performance from De'Aaron Fox, getting that win over the first-time Kyrie and Luka Mavericks.
Great game. Great bounce-back game. Let's put it that way. Because the first game, Dallas came out and they just straight smacked the Kings from the giddy-up, from the start. I don't know what type of mindset the Kings had going. Maybe they felt like, okay, you know, since they made a trade, maybe the team was going to be in disarray or whatever. But Dallas came out and stroked them the first night.
Yep. That 45 first quarter put down was a gut punch. No doubt about it.
No, not a gut. Mouth punched them right in the grill, and the Kings were never able to come back from that. They hit them so hard and got them down so big, and that's what good teams do, Scott. They did exactly what they were supposed to. Come in, hit hard, and then ride that wave out, and then all of a sudden at the end, you win the game. No matter, it don't even matter if you just win by 2, but you were up enough to be, you know, to have that comfort level to where you could just play regular basketball and be able to end up with a win.
No doubt. Saturday night, totally different story. The Kings came out with a new mindset, new attitude. They were ready to go.
I'm glad they got punched in the mouth, because, Scott, that's a taste of playoff atmosphere ball. You know, this is a situation to where the Kings haven't been in a long time. And a lot of these guys on this roster have never been in that situation. They don't know the intensity of playoff basketball. All they know is what they see during the regular season. Well, it's a different ball game. You and I know that big time. So for them to get punched in the mouth like that, understand it's going to be like that pretty much every night if you make the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And of course, in the fourth quarter in overtime, it was De'Aaron Fox time yet again. 26 points combined in the fourth and the overtime. Everybody's talking about Luka and Kyrie, but De'Aaron was the story Saturday night.
Oh, straight outplayed him. Just straight outplayed him. I felt like Luka came back, even though he only missed a couple of games. I felt like Luka got tired. He got winded.
Yep.
Kyrie was still there. I mean, he was still trying to put the team on his back and will them to win. He was still making big time plays. Luka was the one that was very lackluster. So, I really felt like he ran out of gas, and it was good that the Kings caught him early on coming back from his injury.
No doubt. All right. If you want to join the program, 1-800-920-1140, you can call us. Again, we're on our Sactown YouTube page. You can join the chat room is there. We'll be talking there during the breaks as well, if you're able to access that. Let's talk Luka and Kyrie for a moment. What was your impression seeing them in person together?
Well, okay. You know how I feel about Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, top 10 player in the league.
Top 5 guard in the league, no doubt. The talent that he has, this dude is almost second to none. I mean, I might can name 2 other guards I probably would take in front of him, and that's a maybe.
Yeah.
But the dude is a freak, man. I mean, it's a reason why he's coveted the way he is. And then we know what the Don brings. The pudgy one is a special player in this league. The first game, didn't get a chance to see them together. I honestly felt like that first game when Kyrie came here and he had the rest of the Dallas Mavericks, I just thought he facilitated.
Yep.
He got everybody else going and did a hell of a job of doing it. We really didn't see Kyrie even step on the accelerator until the second game, to where they really needed a play. And I want to say probably like in the fourth quarter, around the 10-12 minute mark, Kyrie stepped on the accelerator. Yeah. He was taking the ball one-on-one, doing Kyrie type things, and he was still spectacular at doing that. But at that particular point, he was trying to match De'Aaron Fox, and De'Aaron Fox was very spectacular himself.
Oh, no question. It was a heavyweight throwdown for sure. It was epic between those two. Maybe the best game of the year. I think without a doubt, the best home game of the year. Wish I could have been there because I know the atmosphere was electric.
Oh, it's fired up, man. I mean, you know how the Sacramento Kings fans get. And then when they get a chance to get behind this basketball team, that place was rocking.
Yeah. Now we have to talk to, because Terrence Davis was huge in that game on Saturday night. TD stepped up in a big time way right from the beginning. He had 17 first half points, finished with 22, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. That was his best game of the year.
Well, you needed something special from TD because Malik Monk is out. Malik got hurt. So now you start looking at the depth of the Sacramento Kings bench, and you're like, wow, where is it going to come from? Davion Mitchell has been struggling a little bit on the offensive end, so he hasn't been giving you big-time numbers. Trey Lyles has been solid, but Metu has been up and down. Malik Monk has been your consistent scorer coming off the bench, and he isn't there. TD is kind of like the 4th or the 5th guy that Coach Brown looks at when you start talking about, your firepower coming off the bench. Put TD in, once again, his number was called and he answered the bell.
Yeah, he delivered. He was great. He was active defensively. Obviously, it was big time on the offensive end. And I was really happy for him because, as we know, he's a guy who takes a lot from Coach Brown.
And Scott, he's the guy that has always been the odd man out. The one thing about it that was funny, he's the odd man out because it's been games to where we haven't seen TD hit the floor.
Yep.
It's been games. But whenever Kevin Huerter goes out, the time that Kevin Huerter was hurt, he didn't go to Malik Monk to start. He didn't go to Davion Mitchell to start. He went to Terrence Davis to start. And he knocked on Terrence Davis' door, and Terrence Davis answered. TD gave the Kings 20 points that night.
Yep.
And then, again, when Malik Monk is out, and he knocks on TD's door again, this guy comes out and he gives you a Herculean effort. So after a while, you're going to have to start asking, do Terrence Davis need to be in the rotation instead of having to knock on the door for specialty things? Yep. Is he going to need to be in the rotation?
Yeah, and I want to get into that in the next segment. We definitely will, just about the rotations and Mike Brown, all of that. Malik Monk, by the way, will not play again tonight. We'll have more on that later in the program and the who's on the floor segment. Let's talk about Trey Lyles because he had a big game on Saturday as well. 25 minutes, he had 14 points. He was crucial, instrumental in the win, and that's coming off a game on Friday night where he played just 7 minutes and didn't have a single stat.
Scott, I like Trey Lyles from the very, very beginning when he first got here. When he finally got a chance to play and I got a chance to see what he brings, I was like, I like this dude. He's not going to be a superstar in this league, but when you talk about a guy that does the dirty work, Trey Lyles is the dog for Sacramento. He comes in and does all the dirty work. He gives up his body. He offensive rebounds. He defensive rebounds. He plays against guys that's basically 4 and 5 inches taller than him. He goes up against those guys. So, he gives you directly what you need off that bench. And I like what he's doing.
No doubt. He's been great. All right. We do have a couple phone calls. Why don't we jump to the lines? Let's take Ted. Ted, welcome into Game Night. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. And I am fired up as a lifelong Sacramentan. And
you have to be.
And, well, it's just reminded me of, like 96, when we made the playoffs against Seattle.
Single greatest moment was that first home game. And
my God.
Ovation coming into Game 3 at home at Arco Arena.
I was there.
Yep.
I was there, and I think we exhausted ourselves because we cheered for 15 minutes pregame.
I know I was worn out. I'll tell you that.
It was a standing ovation for 15 minutes pregame.
It was awesome.
But I don't think that'll ever get topped.
No.
But the old building was so loud with the wood floors and everything. But
and Golden One Center's been pretty loud here lately, too. It's been amazing.
Isn't it great to finally hear it?
It
After
is.
Waiting, we were so happy to get the new building, and then we just couldn't get anything to cheer about.
It's all coming together.
It's coming together, and the reason Saturday night game was so awesome. I wasn't there, unfortunately. I went to the game that we lost against, I took my family, and I was so disappointed because we just didn't play well. What was the game?
Are you talking about Friday night's game?
No, week before last. I'm sorry, I don't want to waste time, but
that's okay. I know you wanted to talk about Keita a little bit too.
Yeah, so I'm, I was looking because Alex Len is listed as 7 foot 250, and Keita just seems bigger to me in terms of heft, and that's what we've been lacking is a presence in the paint. And I know he's very raw, and I know he doesn't have a lot of time playing basketball overall. I don't know his whole story. And I know his footwork needs a lot of help, but man, he can keep people from coming into the paint. It was a layup drill in that first game against Dallas in the 45-point first quarter, and it was embarrassing. And I know they were exploiting a lot of things that we were doing. But he just seems to me like he could give us some fouls. He has 6 fouls to use. They've been picking on Domas, and I don't know why they keep calling fouls on moving screens on him when they're not. I'm so tired of the league picking on us. Domas, clean player. He plays hard. He gives effort. There's nothing not to like about the guy, but they call him for fouls that aren't fouls all the time, and it drives me nuts.
He's fouled out more than anybody else in the league. Hey, Ted, we're going to talk about Keita off the line. We appreciate you calling. What's your thoughts on Keita? He's been called up for tonight, by the way, High Flyer. He will be in Phoenix for this game. My opinion, my sense is Keita's gotten a chance. He's just not ready yet. It's still a project. The Kings haven't certainly given up on him. I just don't think he's ready to be a big contributor right now.
Well, I wouldn't say that, Scott. I look at it this way. You have to see how the Sacramento Kings are playing. Sacramento Kings are an up-tempo team.
Yes.
They have to run. They need to be up and down. And then they are a spread the floor type team. They are a drive, kick, backdoor type basketball squad. So when you talk about that, that's their best lineup. But in order for them to play that style, you have to have big guys who can step out and knock down the three-point shot. The Sacramento Kings' most deadly lineup is when they put Trey Lyles at the 5. They put Trey Lyles at the 5, and they put maybe Keegan's at the 4, and then 3 guards around. So that means you got guys who can get to the basket, and you got guys that can stretch the floor.
Yeah, and it was an interesting lineup in the game on Saturday because Sabonis and Lyles were both out there together.
Right.
You had TD out there on the floor with Hurt or a
Right.
Fox.
So now you got your facilitator, which is Sabonis, who plays at the high post, and Lyles once again can step out and knock that 3-point shot down. So the other big is pulled out.
Mhm.
So really, you're still playing with 4 guards because Trey Lyles shoots the ball like a guard.
Sure.
So that's where the Sacramento Kings are at their most dangerous and their biggest potency, is when they have all of these shooters around. A big man really don't exist in the Kings offense, their overall scheme. They play their best ball, small ball.
Sure. But we could argue whether the Kings needed another big guy as they're trying to bulk up for the playoffs or not. We'll get into that. I want to talk trade deadline with you a little bit. Obviously, we'll break down the West, who got better, your thoughts on that. And I do want to talk about Mike Brown and the substitution pattern with him as well. His comments on it. We'll talk about that and a lot more. It's game night. It's right here, Sactown Sports 1140.
The only place you'll find Harrison Barnes.
All righty, we are clear and we're still live on YouTube. Nothing? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Henry, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I guess it'll be me and Henry for the time being.
Let's go, baby. We'll just drop Scott.
High Flyer, I wanted to ask you about something you were talking about in the first segment, which was, you were talking about Phoenix and them being the best roster in the NBA, but I would like to submit the Denver Nuggets as still being the best roster in the Western Conference, if not all of the NBA.
Denver is the squad that everybody looks over, and I'm with you. Denver is a very good basketball team, but the reason why I say that the Phoenix Suns have it, because after a while, Denver is a good team, but when you get to these, to these playoff series, you need star power. You need guys who can just straight put the ball in the basket. And seeing what they did was they went and got them a juggernaut and a Kevin Durant. KD can give it to you however you want. He got all 31 flavors. Now, Aiden's been playing out of his mind lately. Aiden is,
and that's why they brought Keita up tonight, just in case they want a big man against Aiden for
right.
some minutes.
But Aiden is the X factor, Scott, because that's where they lost it at against Milwaukee, because Giannis just straight killed Aiden, and Aiden was very young, didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But he's a new guy now, and he's playing at a very high level. You add a Kevin Durant to that, you still have Booker, you got Chris Paul, and you got some of the other complimentary guys
That's
around.
That's the best lineup in the Western Conference and in the NBA.
Exactly, hands down. So, I like what Denver brings. I think Denver's a hell of a basketball team. I don't think they have nothing for Phoenix.
No, but the Joker still might be the best player on the floor.
Oh, for sure. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
But still, they don't have nothing for Phoenix.
I'm with you. I think Phoenix is the favorite.
I think that I'm going to take Denver in this situation because the complaint used to be Michael Porter Jr. can't be your second best player, and now he's their fourth best player. Aaron Gordon has made a huge leap this year.
Yeah,
and
Gordon might be
Denver.
number 3. I mean, Jamal Murray's their second best player.
In win shares, Gordon is number 2, and I agree with you that Murray is the go-to.
I don't care what
option.
that stat says. Jamal Murray is their second best player, Kyle.
Understandable.
And you know what? And let's go player for player. Okay.
10 seconds still back.
Okay.
Oh,
we'll save it for on air.
Yeah. So we're going to break this Denver thing down.
Welcome back into game night right here. Sactown Sports 1140. Scott Marsh along with the High Flyer with you. We'll take you until 5:30 tonight. Get you ready for Kings Live pregame. Tip tonight, 6 o'clock in the Valley of the Sun. Kings and Suns. How juicy is it with Phoenix making all these trades? The Kings go there before the deadline, but of course, no Kevin Durant tonight for Phoenix. We're breaking down rosters, and we'll certainly get into Phoenix and what they've done. I do want to follow up on our Kings conversation in the YouTube chat. We were talking about best lineups in the Western Conference. We'll get to that in the next segment over there. But for the Kings right now, in terms of what Mike Brown uses off the bench, obviously it's not consistent who he's bringing on or off every night. Now, obviously Malik Monk hurt, so that changed the rotation a little bit, but it hasn't been totally consistent. And Mike Brown, said yesterday with Kettles and Rami, basically like he likes to give a guy run every certain number of games just to keep them knowing that if they're working hard in practice, they're going to get some run, just to kind of let everybody know that everybody could get on the floor on any given night.
Well, Scott, really, it has been consistent because, Davion Mitchell comes in for De'Aaron Fox at a certain time. Every quarter, no matter what De'Aaron's doing, De'Aaron at that 5-minute mark, De'Aaron's coming out. And then, Malik Monk comes off the bench for Kevin Huerter.
He's usually finishing games at this point.
So Malik Monk is coming off the bench. Those are two staples. Now, the ones that really are questionable is, and I think he's starting to solidify this also because Trey Lyles has been a staple. He's coming off the bench for the first big.
Right.
He's coming, whether it's the rookie that's coming out or whether it's a bonus that's coming out, Trey Lyles is coming in for one of those two.
But let me throw this at you. For example, Friday night, Trey played 7 minutes. Okay. Ended up playing 25 in the game on Saturday night. Difference between the two games?
Difference between the two games is that they still went small. Keita is the one. I mean, excuse me, not Keita, but Metu is the one. Metu and TD are really the ones that get the up and down treatment.
Okay.
The reason why Trey Lyles didn't play that much is because Sabonis still had it going and the rookie had it going. Usually Trey Lyles is in for one of those two. And like you said, he usually finishes the game. So it's either Sabonis is out, Trey Lyles is in. It's either the rookie is out or Trey Lyles is in. That's that rotation that they have. Metu hasn't cracked that rotation that much often.
All right. Game Night is always brought to you by Power Business Technology. Experience how the power of family can help your business office equipment needs today. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or go to powercopiers.com. All right, trade deadline, our first chance to break it down since last Thursday. Let's specifically talk Kings. Not that there's a lot to talk about because they didn't make a move before the deadline. Your thoughts, were you surprised? Are you okay with it?
I'm fine with it. I am definitely fine with it because the way the Sacramento Kings are playing, Scott, they're playing great basketball. And, changing the culture, they got guys buying in, they have their nucleus, they got guys that's gelling. You can't just walk in and disrupt that right now. And I'm talking about trying to make a big splash, right? You can't just walk in and disrupt that. If you do, it better be a home run. It better be, because now you done disrupted everything that the Kings were trying to build. So that's why I think the Kings didn't try to go out and get a big splash. They're playing well enough to where they can go out and say, okay, what is it that we actually need the most? And you can say, okay, we need a big man, a shot blocker, right? Now they got the wherewithal to say, okay, well, let's look at this guy. Now, is this shot blocker going to give us everything that we need at that position? Because if he don't give us everything that we need, we don't need him.
Yep.
We're going to pass and go and look elsewhere. It's not to where you're in a situation like the LA Lakers where it's like, we have to move Westbrook. We don't care what goes on. We don't care what we get back for him.
Sure.
We're not in a fire sale. We are fine if we stay packed. This team is good enough to reach their goals the way they are. Now, if you talk about trying to make another step further than the goal is now, because let's keep it straight 100.
Yeah.
The goal is to make the playoffs. Now, Mike Brown's goal, which is the next step, is to do something
Sure,
big
they want to do some damage
in the playoffs.
Of course.
So when you're trying to do something big in the playoffs, that's where you might have to go find another player.
Okay. Now, we talked a lot here about Mason Plumlee. His name was thrown around a lot. He was moved. He went to the Clippers. Jakob Poeltl's a guy's name that we talked a lot about. He ended up going to Toronto. So it's not like these players weren't on the move. They just went elsewhere.
Well, you have to think about this too, Scott. What would you have to give up,
of course,
to get those players? Because, if let's say you're talking about Plumlee and they were talking about, well, we want Keegan Murray. Well,
of course, you're not giving up Keegan Murray to get Mason Plumlee.
Exactly. So what I'm saying, it's like you got to really ask yourself, what are these other teams asking for? Sure. I'm pretty sure they wasn't talking about, we're going to trade Mason Plumlee for Metu straight up. No.
But I mean, Thomas Bryant went to Denver. Another example of a big guy who got moved.
Right. But what I'm saying is,
I know it's all about what you have to give up in return.
You're not going to get Jakob Pertl for just Trey Lyles straight across. It's not going to happen. To get those type of guys, you got to dig into your starting lineup. And were the Kings ready to do that?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
The cost benefit analysis too much.
Right.
And you can't argue. I mean, the Kings are playing well.
No, and I'm fine with what we have because I honestly believe what the Kings have is good enough to get them to their goal.
Okay. And again, I think you're right. Good enough to get to the playoffs, even though it's still bunched up. I mean, the Kings are looking, they've been solid in the 3 spot for a while.
But what they have is good enough to get them there.
It definitely is. I agree with that.
It's good enough to get them to their goal.
Right. Is it fair to reevaluate and say this Kings team, now the goal is maybe second round of the playoffs?
I say let's secure the bag.
Okay.
Before you start trying to go get the house. Secure the bag first. And then you can say, okay, our secondary goal is now, because we have this in the bag.
Yep.
Now, our secondary goal, let's make something big happen.
Okay. All right. Obviously, a lot of moves made in the Western Conference. We're going to get into Phoenix, obviously. We're going to break them down later on. They made the biggest splash. Obviously, the Mavs, we've seen them. Dallas with Kyrie, how do you rate them now after you've seen them?
I can't. I can't because I honestly think that Luka coming back didn't play his best game at all. So you really didn't get to see the potency of Luka and Kyrie together.
You saw last night, right, where they passed it about 8 times, didn't take a shot at the final buzzer, chance to win that game too last night against Minnesota.
No, I didn't even see that game.
Okay, yep, they had a chance late. Luka and Kyrie were deferring to each other. They passed it back and forth. They didn't get a shot up at the end of the game. Ended up losing that one.
And see, that's the thing. They're gonna have time to figure it out. And that's why I like where the Kings caught them early. You catch them trying to figure it out, and you can get these games. The Kings are all about playing 500 until the end and making the playoffs.
Yep.
Now, let's say, for example, if they catch Dallas in the playoff series and all of a sudden Dallas has got it rocking and rolling, well, it might be a different scenario then. If Luka and Kyrie can get it going to where they got that 1-2 punch, it might be a different scenario trying to play Dallas. But as of now, catching them early, the Kings did exactly what they needed to do.
Yep. All right. The Nuggets made moves. I think they got marginally better. We know Phoenix. We know Dallas. The Clippers made some moves. I think they made themselves better.
The Clippers had a deep roster from the beginning. Mm-hmm. It's just all about one guy with them. It's all about, can they keep Kawhi Leonard on the floor? If they can keep Kawhi on the floor, we know Paul George has been pretty much solid, and the rest of the guys have played good basketball. If you can keep Kawhi on the basketball floor, the Clippers definitely have a chance.
Okay. Warriors, they basically said goodbye to Wiseman for
the Dubs.
Nothing.
The Dubs are, and I hate saying this, Scott, because they are the champions.
Mm-hmm.
And, I ride with the champions until they're not. But they're not what they used to be.
Nope.
They're not what they used to be, even though they still have Steph. Steph probably is the best guard in the league. But the complementary players around him just aren't giving them championship basketball. They was able to squeak it out last year with a halfway decent Draymond. Draymond's game ain't the same.
Nope. They did get Gary Payton, but who knows when he's going to be able to play again.
They got GP back, but GP is more on the defensive end. I'm talking about as far as offensive power, because right now, Wiggins ain't the same player he was last year. Wiggins was killing last year.
No, I had a good game last night, but to your point, he has not been playing well
right.
of late.
He was killing last year. Yeah. Him and Jordan Poole both. Yep. So that made it easier for Steph and Clay.
Yep. All right.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I agree with you there. We just have to get to the break. When we come back, we'll continue to break that down. I want to get to the Lakers, their moves as well. Again, game night brought to you by the Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Sacramento. If you have a heart to serve children in our community, being an adult mentor to a child in need in our community could be the way to do that. Please give Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Sacramento a call or go to bbbs-sac.org for more information. It's game night right here. Sactown Sports 1140.
All righty, we are clear. Henry, did you have any final thoughts on what you were going to say?
On
what we were talking about before the break, talking about Golden State and the champs and
Oh,
what they're doing?
No, the thing about it is that I don't think Golden State got better. I think they got one of their complimentary players back, but it's just one. They need more than that because the two guys that they really relied on, which is Jordan Poole and Wiggins, haven't been there for them.
Okay. I think I agree with you. I think they're in the 7 seed the last time I checked right now, and it seems to kind of be the space that they're occupying.
The Warriors are the 9 seed at the current
Ooh,
moment.
interesting. Who's the 7 and 8 right now?
Right now, the Pels are 7, but by percentage points. And the T-Wolves are 8. But, I mean, again, that means nothing right now. Absolutely nothing.
And can you imagine this? The Pels were number 1 before Zion went down.
Right, and he's not coming back anytime soon.
And see, that's tough.
Re-aggravated the hammy.
You know, and where's Steph at right now because the Warriors are sinking with Steph gone.
Clay played pretty well on Saturday. I'll give him that, but you're right. They're in trouble there. On the YouTube chat, before we come back, there were some talks about the buyout market and whether Sacramento would make a move. Obviously, Terrence Ross is now on the Suns. Reggie Jackson's on the Nuggets. Danny Green is on the Cavaliers. The handful of people available, like Patrick Beverly is available right now. Bryn Forbes.
Dwayne Dedman just signed with the Sixers.
Yep. That's
another guy who was talked possibly coming back to Sacramento. Obviously, that first trip here did not go well at all. But, I mean, you know, again, it was Luke Walton as head coach, and who knows what that might look like this time around. A guy who can shoot the three-point shot might fit in this system here.
There it is. I was just about to point that out. You know, when you look at Dwayne Dedman's game, he can get up and down the floor a little bit. He can still block shots, but the most important thing is he can stretch the floor. And that's where the Kings are really laying their hat on. They got to have guys who can pull that center out from up under the rim so the rest of the guys can do their damage.
Yeah, exactly. What else you got first, Kyle?
Well, the thing that I was thinking is, like, you can sign somebody like a possibility of Frank Kaminsky. I just think when the playoffs roll around, we know who the 8 or 9 are for the Kings, and no one who is available on the market is going to be able to crack that 8 or 9. So at this point, it's just, 10 minutes a game for the rest of the regular season for whoever they sign.
I would agree with that. And I just don't even know who else they might sign at this point anyways.
It's just throwing out some names, possibly Will Barton. Like I said, Beverly's available, Serge Ibaka, John Wall, potentially. Not a whole lot
It won't
left.
be John Wall.
I think I agree with you on that.
Yeah. And Serge Ibaka?
No.
Nerlens Noel?
That was a name that was talked about.
That was a name that was tossed. But see, for me, the way I see the Kings play, it's going to have to be somebody that could stretch the floor. Even if, I think right now the Kings are definitely trying to address Mike Brown's needs on the defensive end. They're looking at defensive-minded players. Even if they get a guy that could be, quote-unquote, a 3-and-D guy, he's going to have to be able to knock that shot down.
Yeah, I understand your point there. It would be someone filling bench roles at this point, and at this point the Kings are fine there. They've got depth on the bench when you talk about even guys like Delly and Alex Len and Rashawn Holmes.
I don't know. I still feel like they're one big guy shy.
They are. And you know what? That's why the Kings have been reluctant to make a move with Metu, because you look what Metu brings. Yes, he's 6'9", 6'10". He can block a shot. He can grab a rebound. But the most important thing is that Metu can still run the high post offense and knock down a three-point shot.
Yep.
He checks off a lot of boxes for what the Kings do well.
Yep.
And we are back in 10 seconds, so I think that wraps it up on my end.
Welcome back into Game Night right here, Sactown Sports, 1140. Scott Marsh along with the high flyer, Henry Turner. Again, we'll be with you until 5:30 today. Kings Live pregame at the bottom of the hour. Jason Ross in with Henry for that tip tonight, 6 o'clock. Kings and Suns. G-Man is always with the call. Second meeting of the year between Sacramento and Phoenix. They met back in November. Suns winning the first encounter. Much different game tonight, though. Obviously, the Suns look different. They won't have KD tonight, but they've got some new faces. We'll break them down. And, of course, for Sacramento, a team that what was so impressive about the weekend, and you've touched on this, Henry, all season long. It's really about not allowing to have multiple losses. It's about when you get pounded, responding, coming back to a challenge, and what the Kings did on Saturday night after what happened on Friday night was very impressive.
Scooter, they've been doing that the whole year, being able to lay an egg. They've been they've been guilty of that, lay an egg, but more importantly, been able to bounce back from it.
Yeah, they have. They've shown great resilience.
Right, been able to learn and bounce back and change things on the fly. In some instances, they've been able to go in at halftime and make adjustments and been able to pull basketball games out. Like I want to say, what was the last game on the road with
Houston?
Houston.
They stole that game.
They didn't deserve that game.
No.
All right. The Kings didn't deserve it, but I'll tell you what, they found a way to win.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about. You can look at those basketball games and be like, oh my God, ain't no way the Kings supposed to win this game. But they did. They found a way. That's the true mark of a good basketball squad.
No doubt. All right. Again, the Western Conference standings, you got Nuggets, Grizz, Kings in the top 3 slots. Suns are at 4, Mavs 5, Clips 6, Pels 7, T-Wolves 8, Warriors 9, Jazz 10, and then you got to go down to 13 for the Lakers. Let's just briefly talk about the Lakers and all their they're in 13th, and they lost again last night to the Blazers. Okay, I mean, they've made a lot of moves. The roster seems to be better, but are they good enough to get into a play? And I mean, LeBron, since breaking the all-time scoring record, hasn't played in the last 3 games,
and probably won't play.
For how long? Up till through the All-Star break.
Probably won't play.
Again this year?
Probably won't play.
What are you trying to say?
Look, if you're LeBron James.
You think he's going to call it quits?
No.
Oh.
If you're LeBron James, your team is in 13th.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Is he thinking about shutting it down here?
Thank you. You just hit the nail right on the head. Your team is in the 13th place, and you just made a bunch of changes that really might not make you better. Okay, LeBron might come back and play a couple of games just to evaluate. But Scott, if I'm LeBron James, why am I going to come out and put all this wear and tear on my body because he got to play at a Herculean effort to try to win these games?
Yeah.
Put all this wear and tear on my body when we might not even make the play-in. I'd rather just shut it down and say, okay, wait till next year. Y'all revamp this roster. When you revamp the roster, y'all give me a call because I'm not going to put all these miles on my body because you don't know how many miles this body got left.
All right. Well, the Lakers still have 24 games left this year. I mean, I don't think they made all those moves for him to shut it down right away. I agree with you against the mid-March.
I honestly don't think he'll shut it down.
No.
But what I'm saying is that you're going to definitely have to, see where LeBron's head is at because I'm telling you, he will shut it down.
Oh, yeah. If he realizes.
Once he comes back and comes back and play with this roster and they lose another 5 games in a row, like this ain't changed.
Is this roster good enough, in your opinion, to get into the playoffs?
I would say it's the closest thing they have yet.
Yeah. It's better than what it was at the beginning of the year.
Yes, the closest thing they have yet.
I didn't like them giving up Thomas Bryant. I was a little surprised by that. But other than that, I think they did get better overall.
Yeah, they got come on, moving Russell made them better. I mean, they could have got a 6-pack of beer and some sunflower seeds. It'd been better moving Russell because Russ was coming off the bench, man, but he was a deterrent to what the Lakers were trying to do. He definitely didn't help that squad at all. Scott, I was one of the main ones who said when they first traded for Russell, I called it right there. I was like, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
Because Russell is a volume guy, and you can't be a volume guy when you have a LeBron James.
Yeah, it clearly didn't work. All right, the teams I rattled down, what do you think based on the trade deadline and what's happened? Who shoots up? We've already talked about Phoenix. Who else shoots up and who moves down as a result? Anything that stood out that was so much that changes the West?
That changes the West?
Yeah.
Up at the top? No. Because, number 1 is Denver. They're
going to stay there.
Denver is still Denver.
Okay.
And then you have Memphis, right?
Yep, the Grizz. They've been struggling, though. They've won 3 of their last 10. Steven Adams has been out. That's hurt them a lot. They didn't really make any moves.
Right. Put it this way, if Steven Adams somehow comes back, they get back to their winning ways. I think, losing Steven Adams for them is huge. Yep. Depending upon how long he's out, but they're still a young basketball team that can win games.
That talks a lot.
Oh, talk big time.
Yeah, they're talking a lot right now.
I mean, they usually back it up, but yeah, they talk it. I like that. I love that. I think that's a good thing for the league. It makes the league interesting and fun.
Okay.
So, the Kings.
Yep.
Kings are there. They're playing good basketball.
They can hold on to the 3 based on all the other moves made by, Phoenix. They're probably going to leapfrog a couple teams, right?
Scott, I'm going to tell you this. The one thing that can just deter anything in the West is the health.
Of course.
And that's what's really been hindering some of these quote unquote super teams and keeping them down. It's been health problems.
Yep.
What's been keeping the Clippers down? Health problems.
Yeah.
They haven't had their, their big
management,
guns.
no doubt.
Right.
Are the Suns a super team now?
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, they are.
No
They're the new
doubt.
super team in the league.
No doubt. I mean, go across their front roster. Just the starting 5.
Sure. Ayton, Durant,
Ayton playing his best basketball.
Oh, without a doubt.
Book is a savage, okay?
Yep.
Chris Paul is probably, to me, one of the best facilitators that's ever played this game. Whenever he's on a basketball team, he makes at least 3 or 4 guys on that team better.
Sure. Now, losing Bridges hurt. But you bring in KD, bro. Oh, you more than make up for it. Okay.
Yes, you lose Bridges, but you bring in KD.
How about Jay Crowder to the Bucks?
I think that was a good move.
I do too. Now Crowder got to see what kind of shape he's in, but he could probably work himself into it by the playoffs.
I tell you what, I think that honestly helps them.
I do too.
That gives them another true dog to where everything isn't put on Giannis to be that guy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. All right, we've got a break, but when we come back, we will focus in on the Kings and the Suns. We're going to get to the Who's on the Floor report. It's game night right here on Sactown Sports 1140.
All righty, we are clear. Got to switch it over real quick. I understand.
I had to switch the mics over because I got audition on one side, program on other. Don't worry about that. You don't need to know about that in the chat room. Who do we got in the chat?
Not a whole lot going on in the chat right now. I do think there's an interesting conversation to be had about the top of the Western Conference because it seems like Denver and Memphis are going to be 1 and 2. Sacramento's obviously around there, and there's some conversation about playoff matchups and talking about Denver. And one team that we haven't brought up, except for a brief mention of their deadline moves, is the Clippers. And I would be interested to see a potential 4-5 matchup between the Kings and the Clippers.
I think the Clippers got better. I mean, I don't know. I like the Plumlee move for them. I like overall, of course, John Wall moved. I don't know. The Clippers, to me, are a team that are right there next to Phoenix in my mind.
Let me see. Would I have a perfect team for the Kings to go up against in the first round?
I like New Orleans potentially.
New Orleans isn't even going to be.
That's the problem.
Picture by the time this thing's all done. I don't think. I don't think Zion's going to come back this year. You
don't think so?
No. That hammy. I mean, you're looking at another month, and then you're looking at mid to late March. Where are they going to be at that point?
I think that's fair.
Where's Portland at in all of this?
Portland is on the outside looking in. Let's get.
They're either 11 or 12.
They're 11 right now. They're 28 and 29.
Okay,
they're hanging in there.
And where's Utah?
Utah's 29 and 30.
I'm talking about as far as on
10 and 11.
See, I would love for the Kings to match up with one of those two teams, Portland or Utah, because I think the Kings can handle them.
Yeah.
They would have to probably get the 2 seed to have a chance of that one. So of the group, it looks like the most likely outcomes are Phoenix, the Clippers, Dallas, or Golden State.
Whew. You know what, though? The way Golden State play, I think the Kings probably can play tough with Golden State. If everybody's healthy and everything is clicking, it's going to be tough to get the Clippers.
Yeah, I love picking up Eric Gordon too. Yeah, I think that's a good move for the Clips.
It's going to be tough to get the Clippers. You don't want to see Phoenix. Okay, you don't want to have to go through Phoenix. And who's the third one?
Well, we're back in 10, Dallas.
I think the Kings could do something with Dallas.
Okay. Back here on Game Night, Sactown Sports, 1140, our final segment as we get you ready for Kings Live pregame. Coming up at 5:30 tonight, tips 6 o'clock, Kings and the Suns. The Suns, obviously the most hyped team in the league right now. Lots of newcomers coming their way. Obviously KD, but he will not be in uniform tonight. He's not going to play before the All-Star break. As we get you to your Who's on the Floor reports, brought to you by Gold River Floors, 3 locations to serve you in Sacramento. No Malik Monk tonight for the Kings. They have activated Neemias Queta, so he'll be in uniform, and that'll be, I would assume, that gets some minutes against Eden tonight, need be, to kind of keep Sabonis, who fouled out again. He's fouled out more than any other player in the league, 7 foul outs this season, including on Saturday nights. That's hopefully an attempt to keep him out of foul trouble tonight as well.
Would you like to know why Sabonis is always fouling out?
All the offensive illegal screens.
There it is. There it is right there. It's the offensive screens. And I'm going to give 60% of it to Sabonis, but I'm going to give 40% of it to the guards. Okay, Sabonis does a lot of facilitating, whether it's through the pass
the guards have to
or
wait
through the screen. They have to wait, Scott.
Yes.
They are taking off way too fast. And if Sabonis is trying to still solidify this screen, yes, he's moving. So it's 60 on Sabonis, 40 on the guards, but he's always facilitating on one of those two aspects, whether it's passing or screening.
Yep.
That's why he gets a lot of offensive fouls.
Yep. No question about that. So, all right, let's talk about the Suns a little bit. Let's break them down in a little bit more detail. We know Kevin Durant with the Suns, Mikal Bridges gone, Cameron Johnson gone. They gave up 4 first-round draft picks, a 2028 first-round pick swap to the Nets.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
They got one of the game's great players, no doubt about it. Did they give up too much in the long run for this?
Did they give up the gorilla also?
I don't know.
Oh, man. But
that might be the player to be named later.
Scott, here's the deal. We're talking about Kevin Durant.
Yes, we are.
All right. To get one of these players, man, on your roster, you have to give up the house. I'm sorry. You do. Because they're once in a lifetime, once in a generation basketball player. You do not look at Kevin Durant and say, well, we really don't want to give up that other pick. No. When that guy comes available, you have to go get him if you're going to be successful, because any basketball team that's going for Kevin Durant, you're going for a championship.
Yep. Championship or bust.
Right. And championships don't come around that often.
Nope. No, they do not. And it was interesting that the trade made the first day the new owner took over in Phoenix as well. Talk about a statement.
Nice.
By the new ownership group.
A new ownership group isn't afraid to go deep into the pockets.
Not messing around.
Right.
The Suns also acquired T.J. Warren, Darius Bazley.
Nice.
Warren's a nice player.
I like T.J. Warren.
Yep. No, he can play.
Yes. I mean, I think T.J. Warren is a step up from what's the other guy that shoots the 3-pointer from the corner that used to be in Phoenix? PJ Tucker. Yes.
Oh, yes. He is a PJ Tucker type player.
He's a better PJ Tucker.
Yeah. I mean, Tuck's had some good moments.
So, no. Yeah. I like what PJ Tucker brings.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you on that. Now, also tonight for the Suns, no Cameron Payne, no Landry Shamet.
Oh, that's
for
tough.
Phoenix. They are both out as well. Payne's out with a right foot sprain. Shamet is experiencing right foot soreness.
But that just shows some of the depth that they have. I like both of those guys.
Oh yeah, they're good players.
Because when Payne was starting for a while, when Chris Paul was out,
very capable backup.
Balling.
Yeah,
was balling. So yeah, and I've always liked what Landry Shamet brought. I thought that he was kind of like a real good two-way player, kind of like a Klay Thompson type.
Yeah, no doubt. The Suns are loaded, no doubt about it. For the Kings tonight, how do you look at this one? Final game before the break, before they all head to Cancun. Are you heading to Cancun this year?
No, I'm trying to go to Utah.
Are you going? You go to All-Star break?
All the Kings going to Utah. That's
true.
where I want to go.
Kevin Huerter's there. In fact, there's pictures of him. He's already working on the money ball and warm-ups tonight in Phoenix. We saw him with the the ball rows warming up. We know Keegan's there.
Right.
Sabonis is there.
Yeah.
We know De'Aaron's there. Neemius is going to be there too. Not at the major arena, but there's another event going on Sunday that he's been invited to.
That's what, like, you know what? Somebody put in bid for the Flyer. You know, I want to go to Utah, man, and see what's really cracking. But you know, Scott, this is where your assistant coaches are big, huge. They have to make their money right now. This is where your veterans are huge. This is where they make their money right now. You have a young basketball team. You have half of your team getting ready to go to All-Star break, and they're hyped about going. Yeah. But that right now is still, as much as of a big accomplishment that it is, it's still secondary to this game tonight. You know, they need to come out, and you're going to have to be real in tune of what's going on tonight. You can't go into this Phoenix game thinking about what's going to happen in All-Star break.
No doubt. Speaking of the Kings, think about this one. They have led the Pacific Division since January 2nd.
Been balling, man. I mean,
it's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Been playing good basketball, and, you know, and with all of that, Scott, has had some bumps in the road, and have been able to bounce back and get back on track. So I'm glad they're learning different things. They're going through different scenarios, understanding that the road to success is definitely paved for them, but it's not a smooth road. You're going to have bumps in that.
Yep. All right, let's talk about Booker and Durant. I think most people feel like Brown and Tatum are the best 1-2 combo in the league. Is it Booker and Durant now? Have they overtaken that combination?
We have to see once again, Scott.
Yeah. Is it Kyrie and Luka?
Ooh, good. I mean, a very, very good tandem. You know, I mean, it's so much parity in the league right now, man. It's crazy.
It is.
It's really crazy because
we don't talk about, but De'Aaron and DeMontis deserve consideration.
You know, when you talk about a 1-2 punch, no doubt they do. You know. You talk about what they have going on down there in Cleveland. Cleveland got a big 1-2 punch. Let me see. It's sad that we don't even talk about these guys, but they got to be in the 1-2 punch too. Giannis and Middleton.
Middleton has been hurt so much this year.
That's what I talk about, the health factor.
Yeah, sure.
But if both of those guys are playing as well as they are capable of playing, well, they got to be in the conversation.
Yep. All right. For Booker tonight, who obviously is been back a little bit after away from injury. How do you try and contain this guy?
Ooh, Book's a load.
He is.
Book is a load because, Scott, you know, he can knock down the three-point shot. He can get to the basket. He's strong enough to finish above the rim. But what's really been standing out for Book this year is the basketball IQ. He knows when and where to step on the accelerator. He knows how to create contact and get to the basket. He knows how to utilize the free throw line. He's been at the point guard position. He's been at the 2-guard position. So it's almost like pick your poison with Book, but he's going to be very productive out there on the floor.
And, of course, the ultimate glue that's going to keep it all together, Mr. Chris Paul.
Is CP3. That's the thing. How well is Chris Paul going to play? Is Chris Paul going to be just a facilitator, or are you going to catch him at his best to where he's facilitating and scoring the basketball? That's when you have a dangerous Chris Paul.
No question. And if anybody can get enough feeds to Booker and Durant, it will be CP3.
Now, Aiden's the X factor.
Yep.
If you let Aiden have his way down low, and he's been playing great ball.
He has been. He's had consecutive 30-10 games.
Yes, he's been playing great ball. That's the one thing that scares me when you start talking about what the Kings are going to be able to do. I think the Kings can play with anybody on the outside. It's all about what's going to happen down there in that low post. If they solidify Aiden down there and get Sabonis in foul trouble, we're in trouble because we don't have anybody else that can deal with Aiden. That's why Katie got a call.
And that's why there still might be a sighting, who knows, somewhere down the line with Sacramento. All right, that's going to do it for game night. High Flyers, always great to work with you. Have a great call tonight.
Yes, sir.
All right, coming up next, Kings Live pregame. Jason Ross is here with the High Flyer tip tonight. 6 o'clock, G-Man with the call. Keep it tuned all evening long right here on Sactown Sports 1140.
Alrighty, thanks for stopping in on YouTube, everybody. Catch all of the content 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sactown Sports.